Okay, going live in 3, 2, 1, and hey everyone, good evening. Okay, I'm going to stop messing. Hi, welcome to Internet Podcast episode 3. My name is Hugh. I'm joined with my friends Ibi and Lam here. And if you've been watching our previous podcast, you may be aware that we also usually have the show with Max as well. Unfortunately, he has sent his apologies as he's unable to make it. But before introducing what we will be discussing, let me play through a few of the clips that he sent through with his messages that he wanted to pass on.
League final tomorrow. I can't be on the pod tonight because my lad's playing in a football tournament down in Southampton, so we're staying overnight there. My pick for the Champions League is Man City. I think they're going to do it 2-1. And I think Aguero is going to come off the bench and get the winner. I want Man City to win. It'd be a disaster for me if Chelsea won. Also, mentioned for the Championship playoff final, hoping that Brentford do it because they always take 6 points off of us. But it'll be a good game either way, I hope, although playoff games never are. So I'm picking Man City to win. I think it'll be a great game. Really looking forward to watching it. And there's so many little battles going on within that game.
So not sure what to make of that, but that's his message that he wanted to pass on. So today we will be discussing about the imminent Champions League final between Chelsea and Man City. So it's a Pep v Tuchel encounter. And then as part of the rest of the show, we will be talking about a few other things. So just quickly going to run through the England squad's preliminary announcement. We have some transfer gossip to discuss to you all, and also before we start all of that, I want to play something else that Max sent through as well, and this is with response to what happened in the Europa League final.
Good Lord, United threw that game away.
So I guess to start off, Ibi, as the resident Man United fan, so Max clearly said there United threw the game away. I just wanted to get your thoughts and whether you agree with him on that statement.
Yeah, I'd agree actually. I think Solskjaer didn't attack the game. Came into it a bit, I don't know, too probably defensive minded. We talked about McFred. Lam mentioned it last week about McFred, or the week before, saying he's not convinced. And yeah, I think obviously we didn't start with McFred. I know we started with the two holding midfield thing. And then I think 150th minute, 110th minute, he brought on Fred when we're going 1-1. At that point you don't turn to McFred. At that point you turn to your attacking players. Amongst United fans, everyone's been talking about that young kid, Amad Diallo. Everyone's saying he's skillful, he does well. Every time he's played, he's created something. But Solskjaer obviously doesn't trust him enough. So if they're going to put him on the bench, surely at some point you think, okay, nothing's working, let me get this kid on. Just like Fergie, like when you need someone, you need that spark, and he turns to Makeda or he turns to someone like nothing else is working for you. What can possibly go wrong? Like, you're not going to lose the game by putting someone like that on. You might not win it, but you're not going to lose. But yeah, it clearly backfired. But to be honest, as a United fan, I'm not sulking. Like, it's not the Champions League final. It's not you get it. Like, ideally, you would have liked to win, but the fact that we didn't feels like it was disheartening at the time. But I got over it pretty good.
I mean, where does this stand for Ollie though? Because given what's happened throughout the season, this was probably your best chance of getting silverware, and you came so close with that penalty shootout, and Ollie's ended the season pretty much trophyless. And I know there's been like a dividing opinions of people saying, "Oh, Ollie is still at the wheel," which is probably why we have this title in our podcast. But in your perspective, like what are your thoughts about Ollie in general? Like, does he need more time, or is this a case where Ed Woodward's now gone do you foresee a United transformation that's required?
Yeah, I think this was Solskjaer. You're right, spot on. Solskjaer's moment to show that he's that. Well, like in Mourinho, I think Mourinho, when he won the Europa, even though it's not a big trophy, he kind of showed to the United fans that you will win stuff with me. Obviously, it didn't go according to plan after that, but it was a statement nevertheless. I think Solskjaer got to a couple of semi-finals. This was his moment to show, like, yeah, you will like stick with me, and we'll win big and better things. And obviously, we couldn't prove that. So more pressure. Perhaps if he won it, he would have got one more season. The fact that he didn't win it, I think he'll probably have until December to prove himself. So let's see.
Yeah,
what do you guys think?
Yeah, Lam, what do you think from a neutral perspective?
It was an all right game. It was an all right game. I think it was always going to be attack versus defense, but I think Solskjaer showed a bit of an experience the way he went into it. And that change, bringing Fred on when you're going for a game in extra time, I think he was happier, how do I say it? He was happier just not to get embarrassed, but then in the end, an unfortunate penalty shootout that went all the way to the keepers, kind of came back and bit him in the butt a bit. But I don't know, he still finished second. Bit of solace in the fact that you finished second, I guess. But
would you say that's because of what's happened in the season, like with Liverpool having like 14 injuries or something, and then Chelsea obviously sacking Lampard and all of that going on? Do you think that's the reason why United finished? Do you think performances?
I know what you mean.
Do you think United's performances justify finishing second, or do you think it was just because other teams were so bad, United finished second?
To be honest, I think it's a bit of both. Because you have played well during the season, but also the others have played quite shocking.
Yeah, and some of it was just like moments of brilliance. Like I think there was like 6 or 7 times where Bruno, scored spectacular goals or won a penalty, and then Pogba came back from injury, scored like 3 or 4 screamers. I don't think the performance was amazing that game. It was just 1-0 down, and then the momentum last 20 minutes gets us the win.
Yeah, and with Solskjaer signing a new contract, I think it was 3 years.
Yeah,
I think that, I don't know, they've still got confidence in him, but like you said, he's on thin ice, I think.
Yeah, I think.
So, yeah, what do you reckon, Hugh?
Where do I begin? I think to briefly touch on the season and what Ibi mentioned about Liverpool having a poor season with the injury record that they have, Chelsea getting rid of Lampard and then basically being in transition, and then Leicester completely bottling it at the end. I think all Ollie could have done is played what was in front of him and choosing his 11 week in, week out, and just playing the season as it is, irrespective of what other teams are doing. And this is kind of like hypocritical, me saying this as a Liverpool fan, given everything that's happened to us. Like, you can only control what's in your destiny. So those 38 games throughout the season, that's all you can really focus on and play for. It doesn't really matter what anyone else is doing. You've just got to focus on yourself first and foremost. Going back to the final itself, I thought, to be fair, like, obviously I have a slight bias given that I'm a Liverpool fan, but I thought United played terrible in the first half. And to put it simply, it was only until Moreno scored that goal where they actually suddenly started waking up. And then you saw in the second half, it was a completely different game. United managed to get the equaliser, and then they started trying to dominate the game, bring on possession. So I think, Ibi, as much as you said about the whole Fred substitution and whatnot, I think Ollie's idea was there to bring on a midfielder who can actually dictate the play and bolster midfield and just basically control the game, hoping that one of his...
Do you think Fred's that guy who will come in and dictate the game?
Not necessarily.
I see why he did it. Like, you put Fred there and McTominay and then push Pogba to the left. I understand that, and that's worked for us this season a number of times. But like, I don't know. Like, is that an attacking change? If Fergie was there, if Pep was there, if that was Klopp, I'm thinking, he's bringing.
No, they wouldn't have done that.
Go for it.
Yeah. But I think what he was thinking about is like if you saw towards the end of that match, Villarreal, before they made the subs in extra time, that team was fading and they were basically gassed out. And bringing on someone in the midfield to control the game, like having those two midfielders, Pogba on the left, he was hoping that he could just dominate the possession and then somehow get one of the attacking players to nick a goal at the end and basically make it 2-1 just for the final whistle. Unfortunately, it didn't go like that. And then after the substitutions in extra time, I think Villarreal came back into the game and it became quite even. And then, I think this probably leads on to the discussion on the penalty shootouts because 11-10 for a penalty shootout is remarkable. There's not been a lot of penalty shootouts, especially in a final like it. But something tells me that was more to do with poor goalkeeping, especially in terms of the penalty savings, rather than good penalty kicks in general. I don't know anyone.
There were some good what do you make of Solskjaer's decisions there about, was it Van Gaal? I think when he brought on, was it Kim Cool, the penalty saving expert.
Are you thinking he should have done it for Henderson and then just basically got it?
Based on record, I mean, it was something like in the last 8 years or something, not 8 years, sorry, 6 years, De Gea hasn't saved any penalties. I think it was something like 34 penalties against De Gea he's conceded. And Henderson, on the other hand, has saved like 8 out of the 19 or something. I can't remember the stat exactly. If someone knows it, then correct me, but it's not far off. So if you've got a keeper there who saved a good number of penalties in the last couple of years up against someone who hasn't saved a penalty for like 6 or 7 years, surely you're going with the guy who had saved penalties. It's a big decision, right?
I think maybe again that's a bit of an experience, and him waiting so long to make changes. I think all of it was a bit, and it was in, I can't remember what minute it was exactly, but it was very late into the game, and Villarreal had made 5 changes, and you've made one.
It's mad, and that's a constant thing amongst all United fans. If you have to say one thing that stands out with Ole is that it's always 80th, 50th minute substitution. It's 1-1, and it's like, come on, man, let's make that change and let's go for it. And some of it, I think it may have been, what game was it, where Fred got sent off? He had a yellow card, and everyone can see that this guy's going to get sent off. Like it was, I think it was the Champions League, the last
against
game.
PSG, was it? Was it against PSG?
Yeah, I think it might be against PSG. Yeah. He got a yellow in like the 30th minute or something.
And
everyone can see that this guy's going to get a red. But Solskjaer just didn't want to make the sub.
Yeah. One other thing I want to say is that he came up against a Europa League master in Emery, but also the defense, Albiol controlling it, Foyth, who had a good game, I thought, and then Pau, I can't remember who the left back is, Alfonso, can't remember, but they were coming up against a solid defense. I think it was tough. It was always going to be tough for them, especially with know-how.
I think they did bring on Alberto Moreno
True.
during the match.
Were you impressed?
To be fair, like I gave him a lot of stick when he played for Liverpool, like because I thought the guy couldn't defend. But the fact that he scored a penalty against United, happy days. But that aside, I just don't know what exactly went wrong, because that second half, United, the game was there for the taking, and I think Max was right in saying that that United basically thrown that away, because after 1-1, the momentum of the game switched, and like Villarreal, you could see that the players were really tired. They weren't even trying to press for the ball, and you can see like even when they were closing players down, they were not doing it in a timely manner, and like the chances could have been there, but like on another day, you probably would like expect Cavani or Rashford to take at least one of those chances, but for whatever reason, it wasn't to be. Like you could say, Ollie could have been a lot more ambitious and played like Diallo, or just take a risk and play and will substitute someone more attacking on rather than Fred. But that's all ifs and buts. I'm not sure about the whole let's try and do the Louis van Gaal, Tim Krul situation and bring Dean Henderson on. I don't know if it would have done anything. You're kind of like anticipating that Dean Henderson would come on and have the same effect. The one thing that would have been good is that if they brought Dean Henderson on, he has a slightly or marginally better, a better penalty saving record, but it would have caused Villarreal to panic, because I think that's what happened in the penalty shootout when Holland brought on Krul, because the opposition was just like, what's going on here? Why are they subbing their keeper like with 1 minute to go? And that would have changed the dynamic of the penalty shootout, because I don't think they were the best penalties. Really, I don't think had a good game. And yeah, I think we can come back to De Gea in a minute. But in terms of the quality of the penalties, I don't think there was any good ones. Really, and De Gea could have got their hands. They did get their hands to a few of the shots, but they weren't able to push it away. And then, yeah, like the one that Luke Shaw took, I was like, oh my God, how has that gone into the back of the net? Because I thought he palmed it and it's like, it's just trickling in. And that could have been game over then. And then ultimately got back to goalkeeper on the final kicks. And then we all know what happened there. I don't know what anyone's thoughts about the penalty shootout, but like even Pau Torres, for example, just side netted it into the top corner. I don't think it was good penalties at all.
I'll tell you who's the best penalty was, or one of them I thought was the best. Their goalkeeper's penalty I thought was really good.
Yeah.
And one of the other Villarreal players into the roof of the net. I can't remember who it was.
I'm saying that Fred's penalty was actually good as well. Top one, from what I remember.
Surprising.
Yeah, majority of them were decent penalties, but a couple of them, you're right, they just went past it. The keeper got a hand on it, but it just went past it. What were we saying about the Champions League final? What do you guys think?
So Max was saying that he thinks Aguero is going to do a special appearance and then still limelight. I mean, we've seen what happened in the Premier League when Aguero suddenly takes everything by the grasp of his hand and then scores a last-minute goal. I think that's more of a dream rather than what's going to happen in reality. Tuchel was here before last season with PSG. He probably has some unfinished business to do. Not Mourinho. Pep, on the other hand, what am I talking about? Mourinho? What's that all about? Pep, on the other hand, he didn't win it at Bayern. Of course, he won it with Barca. But the thing is that, like, for this project for Man City to succeed, I think he has to. This is literally the last part of his puzzle, right? Or the last trophy that he needs in the cabinet. So I think his time is kind of almost calling as well. Honestly, I don't know which way it's going to go. I expect Man City to try and dominate the game, but it's either going to be a really scrappy. Chelsea win, or I think it's going to be a City dominating performance. I don't know which way it's going to go, but I can't see it being like a really close 90 minutes plus penalties game.
What do you think? Okay. Yeah, I actually agree. I think it's. Sorry, here's the last point you made. Did you say you think it is going to be a close game? Yeah.
No, I don't mean I don't mean it's going to be like a super close game where it goes to 90 minutes plus the penalties. I honestly think if it's going to be close, it's going to be very, very scrappy. And Chelsea are going to pull it out of the bag, or City are just going to run away with it, like with the quality that they have, especially with the likes of with KDB, Gundogan, Mahrez, etc.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see Pep's lineup because he's just got so much quality in that squad.
Do you reckon he's going to overthink it, make a dodgy decision?
Yeah, I think he might leave
on or something.
I can't see him starting with a striker. I think he's going to do the whole false nine. Who is it? Normally, who plays the false nine? Sometimes KDB, sometimes
Foden, sometimes Bernardo, sometimes Gundogan.
Yeah, anyone. Could be anyone.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll start with Jesus though. You don't think he'll start with Jesus?
No. I don't think Jesus is his number one striker anyway. With Aguero out, I think it brings him on. I can see him bringing him on at 65th, 70th minute, but I don't think he trusts him enough to be like leading the line for City week in, week out. From what I see, I think that's why I think Haaland and Kane are linked with City, because if he trusted Jesus that much, it would be okay. We've got Jesus, we need a backup striker, and get someone mid-tier. But I think they're going for that world-class striker because they want someone to replace Aguero, and there'll still a few pieces. He'll be that guy that plays every other game, starts the FA Cup, Carabao Cup teams. But I don't think he'll ever be Pep's number one striker.
Yeah, just gonna give a shout out to Tom Shaw who's watching, because I just saw that he responded in the comment section. So hi Tom, thanks for tuning in. And yeah,
get him on.
I know that. Yeah, we definitely will have to get him. Get you on at some point, especially when this movement of Harry Kane comes to some formality, or what will happen with this whole transfer saga. There is something else I want to discuss, but let's continue on the topic of the Champions League. So another person who could start up front, which I'm not 100% sure will happen, because Pep is basically going to tinker his team, and you don't know what he's going to do. But Ferran Torres has played up front recently as a false nine as well. But they've got abundance of choice in terms of who to play. Like, I think I said it like either in the first podcast or even like before we started this podcast series, but in almost every position, City have two world-class players to choose from. And I don't think any other team has that capability right now in European football, if not world football. And just having that in your arsenal, pardon the pun, I don't see like how easy it is going to be for other teams to come up against them and play that way. I think ultimately Chelsea were going to play a back three. Whether that back three is going to involve Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, Rudiger, Zuma, Christensen, it's going to be like out of those three out of the back. They're probably going to be set up to basically try to absorb whatever City will do with the possession-based football. And then like we've seen what the likes of they have in attack: Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, who else is there? Ziyech, Christian Pulisic will all play a factor as well. Do I mention Timo Werner?
I like how you didn't
do I mention Timo Werner? Because like he's been, let's just put it this way, his first season in the Premier League has been quite tough. You know, when I said Chelsea could have a very, very scrappy game, if it is a very, very scrappy game, there's something that's telling me that Werner could somewhat just turn up, because quite frankly, last season in the Premier League, he hasn't shown up at all. So I don't know what your thoughts, but like looking at the midfield and the attack, I think for sure City have the better squad. Looking at the defense, I think it's pretty even if you think about it, from who they have or how they're going to set up.
Yeah, oh, by the way, last week Lam called it with Rudiger. There was a discussion on Rudiger. I think today, who said it? I think Ferdinand. Ferdinand said his top four centre backs in the league were Stones, Maguire, Rudiger, and Diaz. He said they were the top four. I think Lam was the only one that mentioned Rudiger last week when we were talking about the defenders.
He's good, and he's come on a lot since Tuchel's come there and progressed. He's not world class. He's not great that'll be remembered forever. But I think right now in that team, in that system, I think that might be one of the differences tomorrow, where you said they can absorb City's attack. I think they're just going to frustrate them, keep cutting it out, keep blocking them off, block the passing lanes, block the channels, and then I think they're going to win. Yeah, 99% sure Chelsea are going to win. That's quite confident. Maybe overconfident. Maybe delusional. But
I'm hoping Chelsea win, man. I think that's the only thing United have over City at the moment. Not that the thing is, right, obviously there's that rivalry United City, but obviously not being from Manchester, it doesn't affect me like obviously Man United fans in Manchester. So I'm not gonna make it out as if like I'm massively affected by the rivalry like that. But obviously I still know Man City fans, and man, it's the only thing we have over. It's like when United leveled the number of Premier Leagues. Liverpool fans had nothing to talk about at that point, and then so it was like the same with the whole City thing. Now at the moment, United fans can say that you haven't won the Champions League, whereas once they win it, That's it.
Well, do you not remember, like, before City won that title, there was a banner at Old Trafford with like the last time City won a trophy, and I think there was a post on the BBC where Noel Gallagher was like, "I really want to get that banner taken down," and then after they won the league, especially the way that they won it, that's pretty much happened. But I think most football fans, especially in England, will probably prefer to see a Chelsea win, given the history of what's happened with City in the last, I guess in the current century, in the past 20 years. But yeah, I think overall as football fans, we just want to see a close encounter between two teams battling out, two English teams as well. From a UK or English perspective, it's good to see two teams from the Premier League in the final. So yeah, hopefully it's a good game. Hopefully it isn't going to be that scrappy game that I anticipate it to be. But yeah, it would be a good thing to see. Yeah, it will also be a good thing to see Tuchel actually, like, coming from PSG and after what happened with him earlier on in the season, and then him coming to Chelsea and then basically repeating his feat and getting Chelsea to the final as well. It'll be just good to see him just basically close that final patch. Yeah.
Think about it, man. They got knocked out of the FA Cup, right? Not knocked out, lost in the final, sorry. So yeah, knocked out in the final. And then last week, they almost didn't make fourth place. So that would have been a horrendous season for Tuchel, but just on luck, he did nothing on his. They lost, right?
Yeah,
they lost against Villa, and so imagine that, losing in the final FA Cup, and then not getting fourth place, and potentially losing the Champions League. Lampard would have been licking his lips.
Do you reckon that luck's going to continue and they'll win it? I mean, the luckiest season, scrape top four.
Do you think he'd get sacked at that point if he lost the Champions League and they didn't make top four?
I don't think Tuchel will get fired. Like, he's only had half a season. You can't just base it off that. And plus, if you think about it, it's not really his team. He's basically just had that team that he's inherited for 6 months. He's managed to get it somewhat working, luck or not. Sometimes in football, you have to ride your luck. Like, if we're talking about luck, look at what happened with Liverpool and AC Milan in the 2005 Champions League final. Admittedly, I don't think that Liverpool squad should have been anywhere near the final, and they shouldn't have won against. Like, if you compare the two squads, they should not have had any chance of getting back into that game. But you know what? It happened, and we all know what happened in that match. But yeah, sometimes you do have to ride luck, and I think Tuchel will have a summer to at least get his signings in, get some players that he wants in, and then develop a mentality, a philosophy, just a structure around Chelsea Football Club according to how he wants it. Because we've seen what he's managed to do in the 6 months with a team that isn't his. Surely, if he has time and he has money and the investments coming in, that he will be able to build a squad that is going to be able to be tailored towards his style of play and also to challenge for the title.
I think he's going to get rid of quite a few players as well. Like Abraham, for some reason, just doesn't want to play him. Maybe that's
the question is, out of Tammy Abraham and Giroud and Werner, for that matter, like, who would you want to bank on in terms of getting the goals next season? Because I feel like Timo Werner has had a terrible season, by no means. But the thing is, it was always going to be a season in transition. And I think, generally speaking, like, if you looked at what Drogba did when he first joined Chelsea, he didn't have a stellar first season, but he went on to do remarkable things. It may just be a case where first season, I need to get used to time. Need more time.
And yeah, as crazy as it sounds as well, for goals aside, I know as a striker, goals is everything, but goals aside, his link-up play, assists, everything, Werner's been on it. It's just, his finishing.
Just seems a bit unlucky as well. Some of the things he tries don't come off. Some of the shots don't come off.
VAR
makes a world-class save.
I'd sooner go. I don't know why Giroud's still there. Guy needs to go. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know how he's won some of the accolades he's won. One of the best.
This guy's a hater, man.
Wow. I don't know why he's still there. He got the move to Chelsea somehow. I don't know how he's still there. I'm not a fan.
He's the
Genuinely.
nah. This guy.
He's a World Cup winner.
Yeah,
A World
man.
Cup winner only because Benz wasn't there.
He's the white Heskey.
Giroud
He
will
makes
be
people
anywhere
around
near
him play well.
Maybe he's just making him look better. All he does is just get his head on the end of it.
But the thing is that he's a good target man, and he may not be a starter for Chelsea, but if you want to rely on someone to come on and nick a goal, Giroud is that man. Like
so
you might not like
he's a
the
new
way he
age
plays
Peter
football.
Crouch. He's a new age Peter Crouch. Just chuck him on
Wow.
towards the end and reach for the big man. Reach for the big man.
I think that's a bit harsh. Comparing him to Peter Crouch is a bit.
Yeah, because I'll say Crouch is better.
Crouch was actually underrated.
That's silliness. He was underrated.
Yeah, Crouch's first touch was underrated.
For guys like 6 foot, was he?
Yeah.
7? Nah, 6'6".
6'7", I think. Yeah, you're right.
Actually, let's quickly fact check.
But yeah, unbelievable. So that's another controversial statement by the Internet Football Podcast. Lam here thinks that Peter Crouch is actually better than Olivier Giroud. Yes, that's Olivier Giroud, the World Cup winner. Yeah.
It's kind of like he was in the World Cup squad because they didn't really have anyone else, I think.
You are really a hater, aren't you?
I'm not a fan. I'm really not a fan. I'm not
so
a fan. But yeah, Crouch is 6'7". 6'7".
Lam's been what's the word? Like he's brainwashed by these stat merchants. He just wants to see stats. Like it's not about
Statman.
Yeah. Statman David.
So if Olivier ever finds this podcast, we do apologize. These are the views of Lam and not the podcast on the whole. Just to put that out there and clarify things. And on that note, I think we should move swiftly on.
Let's get predictions for tomorrow. So I'm thinking. Actually, I'll go last.
I'll go. I'd say 2-1 Chelsea.
Giroud winner.
I was gonna say, imagine if he gets the winner, I'll never bring that argument up again. I think you can't stop City from scoring. They're going to score at least one.
Okay, if Giroud scores the winner, I know what we're going to put as our next title for episode 4.
Giroud scores a winner, I'll buy a Giroud top. And I'll wear a Giroud top for every podcast.
We've got
if he even gets a goal. If he gets a goal, I'll buy a Giroud top.
Am I hearing this? Or
It's true. If he scores the winner. Or if he gets a goal even.
Wow.
All right.
Giroud
so
top.
just for the record, we will have that on record, on stream, and downloaded. So we're gonna hold you to it. So I guess in terms of my prediction, I'm gonna go with 2-0 City, and I think it's gonna be a case where KDB is gonna run the show.
2-0.
2-0 City.
Okay.
No chance of Chelsea getting a goal, you reckon?
I think it's going to be the case where City will score first. KDB is probably going to either score or assist, and then Chelsea will have to change their tactics and actually come into the game and basically attack City. And I think with City's way of dominating possession, they're going to probably just hold onto the ball and basically try to starve Chelsea of the game, and then eventually nick a second goal towards the end.
Yeah, or just hit them on the break when Chelsea are pushing.
I'm going 3-1. I'm going 3-1 City.
How do you think it's going to go? 3-0, then Chelsea get consolation, or?
Nah, I think probably 1-1 at some point, and then probably
City pull away.
City is just too much, man. Going forward, you can't stop them.
Yeah, I reckon Chelsea are going to get an early goal. I feel.
Because the thing is, if you stop, I think with every team, if you stop 1 or 2 players, you can generally stop the team. Like if you stop Mount, for example, and I don't know, stop Jorginho playing those deep balls. If you stop a couple of players, then that's Chelsea done. Same with United. You stop Pogba, you stop Bruno. That's it. Man United cancelled out. Thiago at Liverpool, whoever, like, you can pick up 2 or 3 players at Southampton. But at City, you stop Mahrez, you've got Gundogan. You stop Gundogan, you've got De Bruyne. You stop De Bruyne, you've got Bernardo Silva, Foden, Sterling.
Even if you stop them all, you've still got Edison to deal with, playing a pinpoint pass like 60 yards.
Yeah, so that's the thing. That's why I think there's no stopping City.
Yeah, and the thing is that, like, in terms of who's going to play midfield, especially in those two holding roles, I think Jorginho is going to play. And from what we've seen in Tuchel's reign in Chelsea so far, it's either going to be not either or. Well, it's going to be more of an or rather than an either. Well, it's going to be either or. What am I talking about? Kovacic or Kante alongside Jorginho. Sorry, that's probably what I was meant to say. Rather than having
Jorginho, I think, underrated. In my opinion.
The thing is that he has a very specific role, and he's had the same role at Napoli. The problem is that specific role of him being the ball carrier, being the guy who basically will play out those passes and basically link up the midfield to the attack.
Yeah, but I just think that role isn't appreciated in football as much. Like, for example, like I said, it's all about stats now. So, like, for example, Zidane. I don't like how many goals did Zidane get? Even assists. Zidane was the guy who made that pass or took it past those 2 players, made that pass out wide, who then crossed it in, and the striker scored. I don't think like it was that stat based. So players who are like technical, but not necessarily, at the end of it, finishing the moves off, they don't get enough appreciation usually. And I think that's partly why there are certain players, even in the Premier League, say like Jorginho, who don't get appreciated. Because at the end of the season, when you look at their stats, people will say, well, he's a midfielder. Let's compare him to De Bruyne. And De Bruyne's got 17 assists and 11 goals. And there's Jorginho with 1 goal and 4 assists. People are like, this guy's, a dead baller. But really, he's doing his thing, but in a different way.
But do you not think he's going to get... Sorry, Lam, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say he is quite an integral cog in the machine and the way they play. But I don't like we've seen before when he got man-marked out of the game. I can't remember who it was on there, if it was Sarri or Conte, or if he was even there then. But it might even have been Liverpool, where you man-marked him out of the game, and that just stopped Chelsea playing. That happens again, because a lot of the play does go through him, or does go through Mount. If you nullify them, not much that can be done. I just wanted to add on to that.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking, looking at the midfield of City, I'm kind of anticipating that they're going to probably play Rodri as the most defensive midfielder, and they've got a choice with, like, De Bruyne is definitely going to be there if he's fit and available. Like, there's no question about that. But in terms of the other midfielder, it could be Gundogan, it could be Bernardo Silva, it could be.
I think Bernardo Silva's going to miss out.
Yeah, maybe even Sterling might miss out as well. He hasn't even. Yeah.
I think it'll be Gundogan. So obviously you've got the keeper and 4 defenders. Let's predict them last 6 then, and then we'll leave that. We'll move on after that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so my 6, after the obviously 4 defenders and keeper will be Rodri, Gundogan, De Bruyne, Mahrez, Foden, and for either Fernandinho, he might actually go for two slightly defensive-minded midfielders. So either Fernandinho or maybe if you want to go attacking Bernardo Silva, but I think I'm going to go with Fernandinho. So Fernandinho, Rodri, Gundogan, De Bruyne, Mahrez, and Foden.
I definitely think he's going to play Fernandinho.
No Sterling. No Sterling.
No Sterling.
No Sterling.
No Polo. No Bernardo Silva. What do you guys think?
I think definitely going to start Fernandinho for that experience. I think Rodri might miss out because of that.
So you think he's going to have to start with 1 holding?
Yeah. I think Fernandinho can do that job. Fernandinho, who else? Gundogan, KDB. And I think he'll start Foden, Mahrez. And through the middle, I think he might even start Jesus.
Wow.
Possibly, yeah. Probably all wrong.
Interesting, because I actually disagree. I don't think Fernandinho is going to make the team. I think he's probably looking at that attacking midfield possibilities of Chelsea, and at Fernandinho's age, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to keep up with the movement of Mount or Havertz or Pulisic or Ziyech or whoever they decide to bring.
Not think experience and know-how and everything.
Experience counts, but I think right now, especially given how their season went, I think Rodri is going to be. He's basically got his foot in halfway through the door for the CDM position, and then I think it's going to be KDB and Gundogan, and I actually think Sterling will start. I don't know why, but I think it is going to be Sterling, Mahrez on the wings, and Foden going to be a false nine, and that's probably how he's going to set up.
I'll be very surprised if Sterling starts. Very, very surprised. I think there's at least 3 or 4 players in that team that probably deserve to start ahead of him.
Yeah.
Based on
his form hasn't exactly been horrific, but can you leave a player of that caliber out of a final, even if they're not?
Yeah, but then you have to compare it with, again, this is City. Like, I think if Sterling played for United or even Chelsea, actually, you have to say, can you leave a player of that caliber out? But at City, there's probably players of that caliber he's competing against. So you're going to have to leave one player out. It's not like he's up against Dan Gaines or, you know what I'm saying, or Origi.
Yeah.
These guys that up against Mahrez and Bernardo Silva and, you know, these big players.
It's a nice dilemma for Pep to have. Let's put it that way. I don't think any manager in world football right now, maybe aside from Bayern Munich, will have
on that note, actually, it will link nicely to the next topic, because we're going to talk about Grealish, right? Grealish to Man City. And I actually think if Grealish goes to Man City and they sign a striker, whether it's Kane or Haaland, I can't see Sterling being there for like maybe next season, and after that, I think his chances are going to be limited. Because I think Grealish is a better player all round than Sterling.
That's a bold statement. I'm personally not sure, because I still think Sterling they're 2 completely different players in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. But if you're going to play that attacking player on the left, and you ask me, am I going to start Sterling or Grealish? I'm going to.
Yeah, I think he's more closer to a Bernardo Silva type of player than Sterling. But I don't think Grealish will go to City anyway. I don't think they need him. I think they're going to set their sights on a striker before they'll go for another winger / cam.
I agree with that. I think it's all paper talk rather than anything. I believe it when I see it. Maybe a
bit of mind games like the Sanchez. When Pep said he was going for Sanchez, and then United ended up going for him. I think it's just a bit of like you said, paper talk. And
I wouldn't be surprised though, because I think the players at City now, how many are they? Do you think they're like long-term players? Do you think they are?
So Bernardo, I would say so. Even though he's been in the team for some time already, Ferran Torres is definitely one for the future, and Foden's one for the future as well. So they've got the question is like, what is going to be the succession plan for after Raheem Sterling or after KDB? And it's ridiculous we're actually talking about that, because I still think that they have 3 or 4 seasons at their prime still remaining. But I think first and foremost, City need a striker. Like with Aguero leaving, I don't think Pep truly trusts Jesus to basically have the baton passed on to him to be that leading number 9. That's why I think there is that talk about Haaland or Kane to bring in. And I think if they do have a clinical striker who can get in goals, like 20 plus goals a season, I'm scared for the Premier League. I honestly am, because that quality in the squad that they have already, you add a world-class striker to it. That's
the service he'll get. Service he'll get. If he's there, he should be breaking records.
It's
frightening. Imagine if you're a lower end team or a team that's just come up, Norwich.
Yeah,
we'll be petrified at that thought. But yeah,
That's
Grealish,
when you
reckon he'll go? Oh, go on.
Yeah, that's when you'll probably have to have like a back 10 all lined up right in front of the goalkeeper just to prevent them from scoring at all. But yeah, I guess to your point, like, do I think Grealish is going to go? I don't think he will leave this season. Well, for the next season anyway. I think
you won't leave Villa?
I don't think he will leave Villa until after next season.
No, I think he's definitely up. He has to leave. I think another season at Villa. Come on, you're not at your prime for long. I think. And sometimes what can happen is it can go against you. I think, like Maddison, for example, last season, big teams came calling and he didn't go. And like this season, he's not even getting into Leicester. And a lot of big teams have got the interest. So, yeah, I think some big team comes calling. If they do, I don't think you can wait around and say, okay, let me just do one more season at this club. Because, you can, like even Sancho, actually, last season, United were ready to offer, 110 mil? And then at the start of this season, his form dropped. I know he picked it back up at the end, but at the start of the season, he wasn't doing too well. And all of a sudden, his price dropped to like 60 mil or something. And even United were saying, well, if Greenwood starts banging in goals and, we've got youth players coming in, do we even need this guy? But luckily, his form picked up at the end, and now, there's talk happening again. But yeah, I don't think he can afford to. From Grealish's perspective, I don't think he can afford to sit around and think, but then we see one more season, see where I can pick Villa.
Yeah, it'd be nice if he did go. It'd be nice if he did go, like you said, leave Villa and move on to some bigger, better things. No disrespect to Villa, but they can only take him to a certain level.
He is from Birmingham. He is a Aston Villa fan, born and bred. He is the club captain. He could look to be a one-club man if they somewhat can get into the top six.
I think it'd be silly.
Yeah.
I mean, those days are. I mean, like even Gerrard. I know people hype him and says that he's a one-club man, but my man tried to leave that at least 2 or 3 times. At least. I think one time he got death threats from Liverpool fans as well. Because I think unless your team is obviously very successful and continuously successful, then they'll stay. Like John Terry, I know he started off. John Terry was in the West Ham Academy, right?
I'm not sure.
I think he was. I don't think he.
I think he was at the very, very beginning, and then he moved to Chelsea Academy when he was still fairly young, and that's why he still is classified as a one-club man.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. His professional career was at one club, and because they were so successful, you could be a one-club man. Same with like Gibbs and Scholes and Neville and players like that. But I think players like Grealish or even Gerrard, like when they see the success in other clubs, what's the point of being a one-club man?
Well, it's like Kane wanted to leave, right? Because Tottenham have basically said that they're going to get signings in, that they do have the capacity to win trophies, and he's been there for so long now, and like they've got close several times, but it just hasn't materialized. But I don't know, Grealish might be completely different, but we'll wait and see. And I guess we'll find out what happens and if this paper talk actually really is a reality. I mean, unless Fabrizio Romano reports it on Twitter, I'm not believing anything. Yeah, exactly. Here we go. And unless we see that "here we go" tweet with the information, I'm not believing anything. There's a few other transfer talks that I think we should also discuss, but beforehand, I just wanted to quickly go back to the previous episode with our England squads, and I don't know if you've taken a look at the preliminary squads, but safe to say that a few of us have got it completely wrong. Starting off with Nick Pope with the injury, I think that's just unfortunate, but the likes of Maddison and Danny Ings, and even in Max's case where he did give a special mention to Patrick Bamford, neither of those guys made the squad. So I just want to get your thoughts on that, and also like what are your thoughts of some of the other players that made the squad, like for example Ollie Watkins, who did make the squad, and then there's a few others to name, Trent being another one. But yeah, we'll see about it. Yeah, Wan-Bissaka didn't get in either, but I kind of predicted that was going to happen.
I said as well, though. I think me and Lam put Wan-Bissaka in, but we both said that we can't see him getting in.
Yeah, he's the first one out.
Yeah. I think the thing is, we picked the squad on, I think, who we thought, no, sorry, who we wanted, but we knew some of these players, they're not Southgate players.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah. So I think,
true.
like Madison, I think I'm shocked that he's not in the 26.
I think it's
Or is
just
it 33? What is it? Because he did a provisional squad, didn't he? It wasn't just a 26. He
so
did like a 30.
yeah, it's 20. Is it 33 or 31? I can't remember, but I know that
Yeah.
yes,
And to
it's
not,
33. It's 33. He has to cut 7.
yeah.
I think
So to
for him
not,
it was just circumstance.
I don't know, man. I'm not a fan of Southgate. I think the World Cup. I think the World Cup gave us a false impression of how good a manager he is. Like I said, we came up against 2 good teams, lost, smacked Panama 6-0 or 7-0 or something, and all of a sudden now England are this amazing team. But yeah, I just think I guarantee we're going to be playing 5 at the back. Right, we're gonna play playing that 5 at the back. We're not gonna be attacking game. Yeah, it's just gonna be one of those.
Yeah. I'm not sure about this squad. I know that he still has to cut 7 players, and it was all dependent on what will happen. Sorry, I'm just moving some of the cables around. What I think it all depends on what will happen tomorrow in the Champions League final, and obviously he was keeping an eye on who's playing in the Europa League final. But yeah, for some reason, like Eric Dyer not being selected, I kind of understand. He hasn't had the best of seasons. I think Madison, yeah, I think a few people are relieved about that one. Madison, I think he got very, very unfortunate with injuries towards the end of the season and not being able to get back into the Leicester squad. Lam, I know your Del Ali fan club has kind of been shot through the roof in the sense that he's not picked, but I think the not being selected under Mourinho costed him the chance of being picked.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit surprised about Danny Ings not being picked. Neither Patrick
Jordan Henderson's in though, isn't he?
Jordan Henderson's in the team.
That's what I'm trying to say. So, like, if it's based on Madison's not in the team because of injuries, then on what basis are you picking Jordan Henderson?
Well, leadership and experience.
No. I'm saying, like, if your argument is injuries, I'm saying if that's the argument, then you can't pick Henderson. But yeah, you're right. I 100% have had Henderson in my starting 11 before. But I'm saying if Southgate's reasoning for not picking Madison and other players is because they were injured, then on that basis, how are you going to pick Henderson? Or same with Sterling. If you're going to base it on form and say, I'm only picking players on form, then Sterling's not had a good season. So I think like sometimes big names just get in. Like you can't. There's nothing to say.
No, I think it's the effect they can have as well. Like you mentioned, the leadership. I think the effect he'll have, just at being at the camp, or someone like Lingard as well. The effect they can have. You've seen him at United as well, and now at West Ham. Like a bit of a joker, always quite jovial. I think having them in there just for morale and team spirit. I think, and Henderson as well. Something more important like leadership and someone to step up and be a bit of a voice in there. I think that can outweigh the fact that he's been injured for however many months. Whereas someone like Madison, who wouldn't have that extra effect, I think that would be what would tip the balance in someone like Henderson's favour.
Yeah, and then I guess in the case where you do need to have that balance between experience and form players or talent players or players that are on the England radar, because at the end of the day, I think that's why players like Trippier are still in the team, and I think to be fair, he's had a decent season in La Liga. And then obviously there's always the likes of the Maguires or Harry Kane's who are also going to be there, who have leadership experience as well. But Ollie Watkins and Ben Godfrey were, I think, 2 names that we did mention in the past in terms of like they could be in the running, but I don't think anyone chose Godfrey in our teams, and he's actually had a decent season with Everton. And then Ollie Watkins, another one who's had a remarkable season. But I guess going back to Max's point about Patrick Bamford, it's surprising that if Ollie Watkins makes the squad, then why didn't Patrick Bamford? I think from Bamford's perspective, he really should be looking and seeing if he can get in, basically switch allegiance and getting into the Ireland squad. That's just my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. I think whichever one he took would be a bit of a gamble. Maybe he felt Watkins suited his style of play a bit more, or the type of player
Watkins
he is.
probably has got a bit more to like to bring, I think, pace, and probably he can play on out wide a little bit as well.
And a bit more pace than Bamford as well. A bit more powerful. But I'm just hoping if either of them get their chance, it won't be like a Michael Ricketts one cap and then it just all goes downhill. Which I don't think so, because I think they've got enough quality, but nice if they were managed into it. Especially someone like Watkins, who's still fairly young. So yeah, next, I think the next topic was, should we go for Zidane leaving?
The merry-go-round of managers. So I think all of you have probably seen in the news about there's rumours about Poch going back to Spurs, but I guess it's all on the back of like what's going around, as I said, the managerial merry-go-round. So Conte has left Inter because he didn't get reinsurances on the investments in the club, and Inter are in a position where they need to sell players because the bank balances don't look healthy. Zidane has departed from Real Madrid for a second time, and then going back to what I mentioned just a few seconds ago, Poch to Spurs is now on this paper talk radar, which quite frankly I can't even see happening. Allegri's available.
Serious? You can't see Poch coming to Spurs?
Nah.
I can't. First of all, I can't see it happening because as a player who captained PSG, I think he went there to basically settle some things that he couldn't do as a player. I think his primary reason of going back is as someone who was a former PSG player, he wanted to go back and actually win something that he didn't do before. And if he was to go back to Spurs and leave PSG as it is, I feel like he would have some unfulfillment in the sense that he didn't set out what he wanted to do to achieve winning the Champions League or winning the Ligue 1, because he didn't even do that as a player.
But it could be out of his hands. If Zidane comes in.
But I really can't see that happening.
No.
I think PSG have also stated that they intend to keep Poch for at least next season. He hasn't, bear in mind, he's only had 6 months. So, like, what can you really do in 6 months? Same argument as Tuchel. And then second of all, if you really go back to a club, is it going to be the same? Like Chelsea getting Mourinho back for a second time.
I feel like Poch didn't. If you ask Poch after he left Spurs, give me top 3 teams that you want to go to, I don't think PSG was on that list. I think he was waiting for the United job or whatever, and then nothing came, and then PSG came knocking, and he was like, okay, Mbappe, Neymar, why not? Next season, Mbappe might not be there. We know about Neymar and having 2 months off a season, right? With all of that going on, I don't know. I think if Spurs came knocking and he's thinking, well, like, I didn't even want to be here in the first place. Not I didn't want to be here. That's meant to sound as if like he was forced into taking the job. But what I'm trying to say is it wasn't one of his first choice teams. I wouldn't be surprised if he's back to Spurs. Especially with the relationship he has with the owner and the fans, some of the players. I know obviously Kane might be going and so on. When he went to Spurs, Spurs weren't amazing either, right? So they were kind of like where he's now. So he can probably rebuild that a little bit. I don't know. I can't see him winning the Champions League with PSG, especially if Mbappe goes. At the moment, the only reason they even considered winning the Champions League is because of Mbappe and Neymar. So you take Mbappe out of that team, and it's not a great team anymore.
But then what if Kane goes?
But that's what I'm saying. I think if Kane
comes back.
If Poch comes back to Spurs, I think when he came to Spurs, Kane wasn't amazing anymore. When he first came to Spurs, Pochettino. So I think he can potentially go to Spurs and still make a good team out of the team that they've got. And especially now, they've got no expectation. Look, they're finishing. Where did they finish the season? 8th? Is it?
I think they've just got 7th. Someone has said.
Oh, is it 7th?
Yeah.
7th. Yeah. So they've got 7th, and so if he comes and he finishes around 6th or 7th, that's not a bad season next season, especially without Kane. Whereas with PSG, let's be real. I know they didn't win the league this season, but there's only one main thing that they're aiming for, which is the Champions League. But they've won the league enough times now. They don't really. The main thing is.
But they didn't win it this season.
Yeah, they didn't win it this season.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. But I'm saying even next season, if you give them the league or the Champions League, they're taking the Champions League. Right? That's a priority for a team like PSG. Like it's all about marketing, the brand, what PSG is at the moment. And I don't know. I think if I'm Pochettino, I'm thinking, okay, if Mbappe leaves and this team can't, they're not winning the Champions League anyway with him. Without him, there's less chance. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes. For me, I would love Zidane to go to PSG only because I think there's a good chance if he stays at Real Madrid, Pogba might go to Madrid. Now, I obviously want Pogba to stay. So if Zidane goes to PSG, I'm happy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's the fact, didn't Zidane used to play for Marseille as well, as a player?
Yeah.
And I think that's a reason why I don't think he would go to PSG.
I think it would be a bit of a downgrade for him as well.
Well, it's not just a downgrade. It's the fact that if I am right to say that he did play for Marseille or he's from Marseille, like the rivalry between PSG and Marseille, the rivalry between those two teams, you would not want to. It's basically like if you go from Arsenal to United back in the day, or Liverpool and United back in the day. Like they was the two biggest French clubs aside from Saint Etienne. I can't see it happening. And I think like this is where I slightly disagree with Ibi. Like if they sell Mbappe, PSG and City are probably the only two teams with real substantial money to spend in summer, given the pandemic. So even if you sell Mbappe, I think PSG have the finances to go and grab someone who is going to have the potential, or even one or two players who will be there. So the money is there.
As good as Mbappe.
Well, maybe not as good as Mbappe right now, but in terms of you looking forward into the future, there's going to be someone that they have that they're on the radar, and that itself is a project.
I only think I can't see PSG building. Like at the moment, I think the only reason PSG are where they are in terms of the players they got is Neymar probably lacks a bit of ambition. Right, he was at Barca, he was one of the main players in it, but he wanted to go to PSG maybe for the money, whatever it is. And the only reason I think they got Mbappe is because obviously being a French player, wanting to play in the French league. But I can't see like like an English player or a Spanish player who's at the pinnacle of their career thinking I want to go and play for PSG. I just can't see it. Like I think majority of their players, apart from Neymar, who I've given the reason for, and Mbappe being French and already being in that league, he's obviously got that maybe patriotism of wanting to play for a French team. But yeah, I can't like if I'm Harry Kane or if I'm Haaland at the moment, I'm not thinking PSG. I'm thinking Real Madrid, Barca, Man City. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, it's an interesting thing because clearly we're disagreeing and
Yeah. Just to go back to it, it was Bordeaux. He was born in Marseille, Zidane, but he played for Bordeaux before he went to Europe.
Okay.
But also, on that note, amongst other countries, the rivalry in the UK or England is very bitter. If you like for example, Zlatan played for AC, Inter, Juve, Pirlo, right? He played for AC Milan, manages Juventus. There's that rivalry, but they can also you can play for another team, and it's not the end of the world sometimes.
Yeah, it really depends on who the person is, though. Because I think with the difference with Ibra is that he's from Sweden. He doesn't care, and he thinks he's bigger than any club he joins. Let's put it that way, because it's like Zlatan does not play for Milan. Milan plays for Zlatan kind of mentality. And then I guess from Pirlo's case, he was basically forced out of the Milan team. So like it's like the whole Owen going to United. I don't think that he had much choice. But
What do you mean? Of course, like no one. A big cup came knocking, and he went.
Well, let's put it this way: like he was
pushed him out.
Liverpool pushed him out.
They said Pirlo was too old. Oh, and I think Owen as well would be the same thing.
No, but I'm
Said
saying
they'd reach them.
Liverpool or even Pirlo, there's always, you can still say no. It's not like if Pirlo's leaving AC Milan,
Yeah, but
no
let
other
me just.
team in world football will
Yeah,
keep
but the
him.
thing is that, like, put it this way, if you know that there's another team that if you're gonna be pushed out of a
Start for.
team, yeah, if you're gonna be pushed out of a team, you're gonna be a little bit frustrated the fact that they're pushing you out, especially if they're in a winning team. If there's another team that's competing with them, and are equally going to, basically hand you a contract and give you a chance to win that title, and the other choices that you have are like other teams which are in the mid-table, of course you're always going to go for the other big team. I guess also it depends where you're born, because like especially if you grow up being a fan of one team and then you grow up to despise another one, like I don't think it would cross Rooney's mind that he would never ever sign for Liverpool being an Evertonian. It really depends on perspective as well. Because if you're not from Milan, bear in mind Milan and Turin are two different cities. It's not like AC and Inter, but like especially for the whole like Liverpool, Everton, City, United, like how many players have actually crossed that path? I know that Tevez has done it and Hargreaves has done it, but like going to the whole Liverpool Everton, the last person who did it was Abel Savia, if I remember correctly, which is like the very start of the century. And then like you obviously have the cases where Carragher or Robbie Fowler were Everton fans who joined the Liverpool academy, but there's few and far between.
And there have been ones that have gone very wrong, like Figo.
Oh yeah, that.
So some of them can go they can go wrong. So yeah, I think that might be time.
Yep, I think that is a wrap. Does anyone have any closing notes before we close out?
Closing notes.
All the best to Chelsea.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay. I see it. I see how this conversation is ending. So yeah, I think on that note, we can call it a day or a night. So for those who have watched us to the end, thank you for watching and thank you for listening to our perspectives and insights about football. I guess we will continue on from our next episode where we will talk about the aftermath of the Champions League final. And I'm really hoping Giroud does score. So Lam has to play on his. Yeah, exactly.
Giroud tattoo.
No, he said he'll buy a Giroud top and wear it for
Whoa.
Oh, unless you're raising the stakes. But yeah, there's a few other things that we probably will discuss. So there's a few things in the transfer mill that's currently ongoing, but we can come up to that. And then we probably will need to go back onto the discussion of the England squad when it's finally confirmed, as well as the Euros as well. So a lot to talk about. But until then, I guess we can all enjoy the Chelsea game. Before we leave you, I'd just like to remind you, as a new podcast, we do appreciate all the support we can get. So be sure to check out our socials. So that's facebook.com/InThePodcast for our Facebook page, @InThePodcast for both our Instagram and Twitter respectively. But other than that, I think we should end on that bombshell. So once again, as I said, thank you for watching and we will see you all soon. Thanks. Take care.